I do got a very super important question, probably the most important question of today's entire interview, right?
I'm scared.
You ready for it? I want you to really think about this, okay?
Okay.
All right. So on a scale of 1 through 10, how bad would my Martis beat your Odette?
Um,
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the MLSA Break Time, a special segment where we take a step back and we get to interview some of the amazing members in our community. Today, we have a special guest who many of you guys should know in the land of Dawn, whose voice has been heard in almost every single season of the MLSA, exactly every single season of the MLSA, and also one of the ones who built the pillars, the foundation for what the MLSA is today. That's right. Today, we are interviewing the MLSA staff member and caster, Rim. Rim is in the building. How you doing today?
I'm doing great. Happy. It's a pleasure to be here, for this interview on the Break Time podcast. Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's a pleasure to have you, and I'm glad you were able to make it right before the show. So I know we'll be casting tonight, so that'll definitely be a blast. Shout out to everybody that's going to tune into that as well. But enough about that. Let's dive into what makes Rim Rim. First of all, give us a little bit of your background story. We don't really know where you came from, where you grew up at. I know you don't currently live in North America, right? Or you live somewhere far in the East, far away from me. So why don't we get into exactly where you came from?
So I grew up in the Caribbean. I'm from Trinidad and Tobago, more specifically. And I've basically lived here my entire life. Usually, people come to visit the Caribbean. You rarely ever meet people who live there. And usually when you find out someone is from the Caribbean, they're already like full blown and established. You look at people like Rihanna, Nicki, Cardi, and stuff like that. But I'm just me, little rum.
So you were born and raised in the Caribbean?
Yes. Yes.
Wow, now that's pretty impressive. So I guess if I ever need to go out there for vacation, I got a place to stay, right?
Sure, of course. Yeah.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. If you guys are going out to the Caribbean, hit up Rim on Discord.
No,
Just
I didn't say all of that.
whoa. All right, well, that's awesome. I know. What time is it? I know, like for me, I live in Florida. It's 7:47. So what time is it for you right now?
It's actually the same time. So what happens that really trips me up is I don't know if the daylight savings thing is still active over there, but when that goes on, it's usually sometimes we'll end up being 1 hour behind or about 2 hours ahead. So that's like when that whole thing happens, that's when it gets really trippy.
I'm assuming you play on East server when you play Mobile Legends, then, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Well,
like Far East though. It's like different from y'all's East.
oh, is that in a good way or a bad way? You think you have better East players out there in the Far East?
Mm, I think both because with the recent changes that they made, now I would sit in queue for if I'm solo, I can sit in queue for like sometimes about 40 minutes to find a match. Because I'm glory
Really?
right now and my server's kinda dead. So yeah.
Okay.
Good and bad, good and bad.
Well, speaking of good things, where did the name Rim come from? I know it's not really something. Actually, I've heard it before, but I'm not going to spoil it because it may be where it came from. But I got to ask you, what made you decide to go by Rim?
So you were probably thinking it's from the anime. Spoiler, it's not. So I love Ariana Grande. She's one of my favorite, celebrities, and she has a song called REM. And since I heard it, the song really like resonated with me, and I was like, this is such a good abbreviation. And also, I like to be a little bit different and unique, and I think it's a good spin on the REM that I think everyone knows. So it was also something relatable in terms of familiarity for people, but still the way I approached it is something different and unique and specific to me. So I liked it. I added a little heart at the end too, so people can really, distinguish this REM from the others.
So, you also are streaming now, right? You're streaming live on Twitch, I believe.
Yeah.
And I know you got an Instagram. I know even though you play Mobile Legends, outside of that, you kind of do some things on, other games. Why don't we go ahead and talk about that for a little bit? What is what is your social media about? I know you kind of like do things on, I believe, Final Fantasy. How's that been going?
It's been going great. I'm a housing designer there, and I think it was the first. The reason why uh, how do I put it, resonated with that community because I did take a break from some years ago, and that's when I really uh, became more active there. And it's because I saw a difference in the community in terms of respect and like openness overall back then. And I felt like that community gave me, it made me feel like people like me, because I'm, LGBT and everything like that. It made me feel like people like me were more respected there. Like if someone, were rude to someone in any community, they would gather as a whole and be defensive. Whereas my experiences in this community back then, it would be like, okay, well, it's cool to jump on this person based on, your status if you're well known. So I really wanted to step back and take a little break and really, because at that time I wanted to focus on my self growth, and it wasn't really benefiting me being very present in the community back then. So I took, some time away, and I came there, but I'm back now. Had my growth period, so now I'm better able to, handle myself and, deal with everything that comes with putting yourself out there and being, open and everything.
You know what we call that? We call that a character development arc. And I'm glad that it worked
I
out
love
for you in
it.
the best way. And I'm glad you're able to be a part of our amazing staff, because we definitely couldn't do it without you. Now, we were talking about Final Fantasy. Now let's kind of dabble back into our realm of things. How did you get into
Lot of
Mobile Legends
fun.
Bang Bang?
So, growing up in the Caribbean, a lot of people think that, okay, it's just really great out here. Yes, it is if you're only interested in like local stuff. So the costs of electronics and stuff like that is very expensive. So let's say um, a PC, a good PC would probably cost about like 500 US, and people would say, okay, well that's affordable, that's easy, right? But here, a good PC that you can actually, make the most out of, even phones, right? What's 500 there is going to be like 5,000, six
Ooh.
thousand for us here. So it's a huge price jump, even in terms of phones. And back then, I was really into like PC games, but I had a potato laptop, as gamers would call it. So I couldn't really do much in that regard. So I wanted, like, I'm a fan of MMOs, and I wanted a game on my phone that would make me feel like I had powers. I could, cast spells and stuff. And I was like, okay, I searched Play Store because I had an Android at that time. And I saw Mobile Legends. And from then, I think that was in 2017. And then I downloaded it. I think the first hero I played was Alice. And then I got wrecked by an Aurora in mid lane. And I was like, oh my God, I need to
Hold on,
play that hero.
you said about 2017. You were Alice.
Yeah.
Hold on. I think the first game I played, I was Aurora, and I wrecked that. We'll have to go back.
Really?
No, that's honestly that's amazing. 2017. That means you've been playing basically since the launch of Mobile Legends. So I'm sure the game looks totally different from what it used
Yeah.
to be. Now that's funny. You kind of mentioned Alice, but I've been hearing the word around the block is you're an Odette player. She's your favorite hero. Why don't you tell us about that?
Well, I remember I had a duo back then from another MMO actually. And when Odette came out, they played Lancelot at the time. And then I think she was released right after him. And then they did the whole like Christmas promo and had the matching and stuff. And the moment I saw her, I was like, okay, I'm obsessed with this hero, because I felt like, in terms of the characteristics of mages that we have in the game, I felt like she was that first. She made me feel like, okay, this is what a mage feels like. And then she's carrying a freaking sword. That's badass, And then I think what really made me fall in love with her is the humming and the music elements, because I am a huge fan of music. Like I mentioned earlier before, I got my name from Ariana Grande. I make rap music myself, so I've always been a fan of, those musical elements. And she just drew me, I was drawn to her. I don't know if it's Odette or the voice actor they had at the time, but overall, her entire aesthetic was just calling to me, and I've been with her ever since.
Well, I'll tell you what, if you ever need some tips and tricks on how to play Odette, I'm definitely your guy. And if you ever need somebody to drop a beat, I'll hit you with that you can go ahead and freestyle for us. But,
Course.
you've had an amazing journey so far. Living out in the Caribbean's probably one of the few players out there, honestly. I'm sure you don't go out every day and
Yeah,
see somebody playing Mobile Legends on that side of town, but
not at all.
you not only played casually, but I've heard you've also stepped into the professional realm from time to time again. Why don't you tell us about your journey in Mobile Legends as a professional player and what teams you played professionally with?
But my journey as a professional player has still kind of been relatively casual, I would say, because honestly, the teams that I played with, it was usually just, Ram, do you want to join a quick team? Like, we're not expecting much, but, participation prize goes a long way. And I think the very first team that I played competitively with for NACT, this was before we had offline grand finals and stuff like that. This is when it was like completely 100% online, and that team was PDR, Pain and Depression. And we made top 32 back then, which I think isn't really a flex. But the second time around, I was with Kill on Site, with some of, some locals from your server, if you may. And we actually got to top 19
Oh wow.
with Kill on Site. So yeah,
Okay.
it was fun.
So you were climbing up that ladder each time then.
Yeah, I'm the only person to put Odette on the statistics, the hero statistics that they were keeping. So, and after that, she got a buff. So, I'm doing God's work for us Odette mains out there and doing what needs to be done.
There you go. Make Odette great again.
Great
And
again.
2023 is the hashtag that we're rolling with, the movement that we are starting. Well, that's awesome. And I know that you're kind of now dabbling into the realm of a caster, as you helped me kind of pioneer creating MLSA since season 1, and now we're finally on season 3. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that? What made you get into casting, and what do you like about it?
Well, what made me get into casting is honestly back in your server for your personal streaming and stuff before MLSA, seeing you doing it for fun. I think you did it seriously, but I only saw you doing like your live stream times. And then Deku kind of joining in and seeing both of y'all actually start doing it like for fun, casually, and then also seriously. I remember there was one time I was like, should I try this? Because there were some times I would hop in, say a line or two, and it kind of came a little bit naturally to me, and I'm really thankful for both of y'all's encouragement and telling me, no, if you're interested in it, you should try and do it, even if it's for fun. Still do it, perfect your craft, because if you're doing something for fun, you're still getting practice doing it and refining your craft. And my favorite part about casting, I think it's seeing players play proficiently is one thing, but then having people talking over them, even in sports like basketball, football, when you have those commentators, it really makes the plays and the decisions that them as players make way more impactful. And I think it helps the viewers appreciate the abilities of the players even more by just giving it that little extra spice, that without it would not be as great as it truly is. So that's like my favorite part of cast.
Well, you kind of mentioned players as well and their challenges. I got to ask you, as a caster, what would you say is most challenging about it?
The most challenging for me personally, I would say getting started, especially if whether it's play by play or color cast or analyst. Once you're getting started, there's a lot of information, and you really have to change your point of view and put a lot of the things that you've been seeing into perspective, especially for color caster in terms of play by play. You now have an additional task of, okay, well, hero names, hero passives, like you really have to be committed with it. You really have to want to actually do this because it's a lot of work, and doing that initial dive in, I think, is the most difficult part. And that's where your passion is really going to push you through.
Well, I'm glad that you're pushing through that passion, as we definitely love having you on the desk. Do you have any goals that you're trying to aspire to this year as a caster?
My goals this year as a caster, I would say, is to be consistent. Whether that's casting local tournaments or community tournaments, but just putting myself out there into the community again, and building relationships with people in the various communities that I'm in. I just want to be more consistent and out there overall as a caster, because I think consistency goes a long way. and it helps really perfecting your craft and building that presence. So that's my goal this year, to be more consistent.
And speaking of goals, North America's been on the rise this year. A lot of major events happened. We had like the biggest grand finals. You got to watch it over there at the
Yeah.
house. We did our little podcast about it and everything. How do you feel about North America so far with their growth compared to other regions?
Well, starting back in 2017, I really didn't see a future in this game in any aspect. And now that has drastically changed, and I like how much progress we have made from being a region that usually got overlooked when it came to events and tournaments and stuff like that. The very first NACT announcement, I was like, oh my God, this is huge for NA, because back then we didn't have anything like that, and now we have so much opportunities, not only officially but in the community as well. And now we're having community meetups. Like that is huge. That's dope for us. NA is really in a good place, and we're having a lot of representation, because back then it was only Gosu. That was like the only team that we had here in NA, and now we have so many established teams and now upcoming teams as well. So it's great to see, and I'm happy that I've kind of, even though back then I've been in the shadows a little bit, but just being able to see the growth as a region as a whole, beautiful, 100%.
Hopefully one day we can do one of those meetups out in the Caribbean. That'd be pretty fun, and hopefully Moonsong can pay
Maybe.
for it. Well, we spoke about a little bit of the growth for North America and how amazing it's been. But I got to ask you one thing about North America. If you could have anything that you could recommend as an improvement or something you would like to see happen this year for NA, what would it be?
Definitely more of a community aspect. I think other regions, they're really, really stick together regardless of whatever's happening in the community, right? If you go to your favorite streamers in NA, even you, Weezy, your comment section, right? You get people saying, "Oh, you can if you try this in PH, this will never work," or this is only possible in NA, and we see a lot of that confidence from that side of the community. But meanwhile, in NA, we're quick to jump on each other's throat. Even in times of drama, we really go hard on each other, when in reality I think we should definitely group up a little bit more and put some more respect on our name as a region, because other regions, it's true that they don't really respect us as much, and when we don't really respect each other and we're publicly displaying that, it just gives them more ammunition against us. And I think once we're able to get to that point where we can put our differences aside, even with the whole outplay situation right now, if we can bind together and just defend each other a little bit more, that's going to be a step in the right direction for us overall as a community.
I think that's an amazing thing for us to work on as a community. I mean, you kind of mentioned in PH, they kind of stick together, where we're kind of
Yeah.
sometimes separate in NA, but hopefully down the line through 2023, things get a little tighter as we got those international events with some of our top teams going out there to represent. So, speaking of top teams, speaking of teams representing, who do you represent? Who's your favorite team in North America?
My favorite team in North America would be any team that's working towards getting to that status of representation. I think whichever teams come out, the more teams that come out of NA, is the better it is for not only me. So I support everyone. I'm supporting everyone's movement. It's like, the rise of female rappers. People ask me who's my favorite female rapper. All of them, because they're winning. And I think in this time, this is NA's time. And I think the more teams that go and represent NA, we will win. We'll win, honestly.
Well, what about overseas? Do you have a team out there that's kind of your favorite?
I would say Blacklist, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because when I found out about Venus, right, and how everyone calls him, the queen over there, that just really, really, that's one of the reasons that actually made me come back, because seeing, how people respect him as a player and what he adds to his team and his role being one of the best roamers that we've seen in the competitive scene for NA and the impact that he has. Seeing people band together and again show him that support, even down to the casters, refer to him as the queen. The casters respect him. The people behind the scenes respect him. The players respect him. The other competitive, teams respect him. And really gave me hope returning back to the community, and even seeing players here in NA show some of that respect that I felt was missing, back in 2017, 2018. It really gave me hope of representation, and it shows me that yes, I took a break for that growth period, but overall the community has done a good job growing as well. And I've been seeing a lot more people be respectful. People are even asking what's your pronouns now, and I think that that's so dope that people are considering little stuff like that. So it's definitely going to be blacklist for that reason.
By the queen we stand, break the code, right?
Like the code.
Well, that's amazing. I definitely am a fan of Blacklist as well. I think my favorite would probably be Echo, but Blacklist is definitely
Strong
up
team.
there. Yeah, very strong team. Now, speaking of teams overseas, speaking of teams in North America, currently Outplay is going to represent us in MSC. You got any words of motivation for them as they go out there to compete?
I just want to say now is you guys' time to really put that family aspect and stick together more than everything. I think you had a lot of things to go up against here in NA in terms of the pressures from the community, but now you all are on a world stage, and that also opens up um, a target for you guys, not only in our community but overall in every community that plays MLBB and focuses on the competitive aspect of it. I want you guys to go out there, give it your best, make the most of your opportunity, regardless of what people say. Doors really don't open that often, and once the door open, you really have to really make a most of that opportunity. And people may not be able to see the benefit of it right now, but I like to look at the bigger picture, and I'm happy for you guys. I'm glad that you took the opportunity, and I know that y'all are gonna make the most out of it. Go out there, have fun on that stage, and give it your best.
There you go. Those wise words of wisdom. Now, I do got a very super important question, probably the most important question of today's entire interview, right?
I'm scared.
You ready for it? I want you to really think about this, okay?
Okay.
All right. So on a scale of 1 through 10, how bad would my Martis beat your Odette?
Well, I don't know how to rate that because it says it would beat my Odette, but that wouldn't happen. So yeah, I don't think I can give that a rating. I'm sorry. It's not factually possible. Maybe in theory, hypothetically, perhaps. A one. A one. If we're being hypothetical.
Well, that's good because it was 1 being the highest and 10 being the
Oh,
lowest chance.
okay.
So
All
I
right.
appreciate
All
that.
right.
Now, Rim, thank you so much for your time today with us. I appreciate you for everything that you do for the MLSA. Guys, definitely make sure you shout Rim out. Rim does a lot of things in the background that I need help with when it comes to making announcements on the MLSA, when it comes to getting teams together, registration, making pinned comments, anything that requires typing on a keyboard. Rim has done it. Okay, so make sure you give him the credit he deserves. And Rim, I really appreciate everything you do. You got any last minute words for everybody out there who's tuned in to today's interview for break time?
I just want to say, continue doing what you guys are doing. It's great. Continue supporting the community, the people in the community that's trying to, help build and really structure and make NA a staple in MLBB in general, not only just in esports aspect, but to get NA out there because we deserve it. We've put in a lot of work. We've known how it felt as a community to be on the back end for a lot of the things. Like even right now, we're having these server issues, getting queued to different servers and stuff like that. But as long as we can continue to, stick together, continue building that community, y'all also keep grinding, right? Get your teams out there, stick together. The hardest part is sticking together as a team, and I want that for y'all. I want y'all to win. You definitely have it in you as individuals. Strengthen your skills, be respectful, and yeah, y'all are gonna flourish. We definitely have the capabilities and the ability to do great things. And I want to see great things coming out from NA. So yeah, that's what I have to.
There you go. And there you have it, Rim. Everybody out there, make sure you shout Rim out. Make sure you tune in to all the amazing casting that is going to be in the near future for season 3. Rim, I appreciate having you all the way across in the Caribbean to North America. Thank you so much for spending your time with us. This has been Break Time. Weezy and Rim signing out.